Annie, no Annie, Annie,
No, Annie.
no Annie.
No, Annie. Mars Attacks was...
I hate that movie so much.
So bad.
Mars Attacks. Go back to Mars Attacks.
He's your friend. It's a meme. He's your friend.
Shut up, Jar Jar. Nobody likes you.
Nerdy, unqualified, and probably indistinguishable from rambling. Welcome to the A&D Show.
Hello, and welcome to the A&D Show. I'm David.
I'm Austin.
And we have a show for you.
Yes.
An episode of the thing that we do, where we talk about things, and people listen to it.
And today
in theory.
is one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
The whole wide world, don't you dare close your eyes.
The thing that was the glorious 1990s.
1990s. So we thought, we were brainstorming for today's episode. We thought, let's talk about the 90s, because we were both alive and thriving through the 90s.
I was definitely thriving in the 90s. The 90s for me, that would have been I would have been between 5 and 15. Prime time to be me was the 90s.
The 90s would have been, for me, my first entire decade of life. I was born in 89.
You're such a baby.
You're literally 3 years older than me.
I forgot how young you are.
Chill.
You're practically a child.
So we thought we would talk about that. But before we get into it, there is some news, some tech news that we really need to discuss.
Yes.
Motorola.
Samsung.
Samsung. Wait,
You're right.
didn't Motorola buy out Samsung or vice versa?
No.
Are they not the same thing?
No. Who bought Motorola?
Samsung.
Microsoft bought Motorola, I thought, because Microsoft was pushing their
maybe.
Windows phones. They wanted their Windows phones still, but all they wanted was Motorola's technology.
Yeah.
But
The
they wanted
Razor.
they wanted to keep the Windows phone alive, but then they decided not to. But I think Motorola is still a thing, but I think Microsoft owns it, I think.
Yeah, I heard they were going to come out with a new Razor a couple years ago, and then the rumors died away. Nothing happened. Anyway, so Samsung came out with a brand new phone, and it warrants some talking about because it's pretty groundbreaking. It's called the Fold, the Samsung Fold, and it is the new, supreme premium phone that they have out, and the price of it is staggering, and we're going to talk about that in a minute. Before we get there,
Lenovo bought Motorola for the record.
Lenovo,
Sorry.
okay.
Let's interrupt you.
The really robust laptop company, right?
Yeah. Globe killers.
Yeah,
Hey, is that the new Lenovo you got there? Come on now.
yeah, it's about 65 pounds.
Nobody cares about.
It's made of solid titanium.
Do you like carrying a cinder block on your shoulder? Well, have I got a deal for you?
Buy a
Welcome to
Lenovo.
Lenovo.
I always wondered what those stupid little red. Do you remember the Lenovo laptops? They had that little red. It was like a trackball,
Yes,
and I never understood what the point of that
we
was.
had the company that I work at and that you work at. There was a guy that specifically requested that stupid little button thing for the.
He requested it.
He had to have it. And he was some bigwig coming in, and he had to have this little stupid little button thing. He lasted about he lasted about 3 months before he got fired because he was a complete jerk.
Say his name so we can bleep it out. I'm just kidding. Don't do that.
His name is.
So Samsung came out with a new phone. It's called the Samsung Fold, and there's a couple of things that I really wanted to bring up to you that we haven't talked about. This is a fresh conversation, but first of all, it's pretty cool, right? It's a regular handheld phone. It's got a 4-point-whatever-inch screen on the front, which I think is equivalent to what the iPhone 3 was or something like that.
Yeah,
4.3-inch diagonal.
It's a small front screen.
It's a small front screen, but the idea is that the phone opens like a book and latches itself open, and the entire inside of the phone is one big screen, a 7.3-inch diagonal screen. I think it's in a 4:3 ratio, aspect ratio.
It's a 7.3-inch screen when it's folded out.
But it's a big old tablet basically, and it's a tablet and a phone in one.
It is the complete definition of what a phablet was supposed to be, and I think it's awful. But listen, at one point I was very excited about this phone. I thought this is really awesome, and the more I've seen it, just like just design wise,
Yeah, I mean, there's some cool things about it, like the idea that a liquid retina or whatever it is touch screen can be folded. What is it? Organic LED or something like that. That it can be folded that tightly and then reopened and latched in place, and it can be used like a regular tablet.
Right.
That is really cool technology. The hinge system that they've built into it is really neat to see.
They said that it was thoroughly tested, that it can withstand thousands upon thousands of folds. But that's the problem. Is it? So what you're telling me right now is that basically, if you think if phones now are getting thicker or thinner, okay, the smaller the better. So take like two phones and just put them together like a sandwich.
Yep.
That's what'll be in your pocket.
Right. We'll take two iPhone 10s.
Right.
No, it would basically be two
smaller than that.
iPhone, like let's just say the iPhone 4. I think is about the right size.
And
Two iPhone 4s, put them together. It's a little bit thinner than two of them stacked together.
And that's where the problem lies, is that I think that it just looks ugly.
Yeah, it's not a great...
I watched some videos of going from the candy bar to the open fold. Yeah, and it doesn't look good.
Yeah, it does look fluid. It looks like it's been designed well. It's just
right. I appreciate the idea of I want to be groundbreaking on the first to do this. That doesn't mean that it's good.
Right. Well, and oftentimes
it's bad.
History is borne out oftentimes that the first one is the worst.
Right.
The first is the worst. But
I will say that I did look at the Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus.
Yeah.
That's
the one with the pinhole camera?
Yeah, that phone's sexy.
It looks good. It looks like it's really competitive and maybe has even trumped the iPhone XS.
They say
Max.
that spec wise it is better. The cameras are better. I'm an Apple guy.
Yeah,
so
same.
I won't. I used to be a Samsung guy, and I there are aspects of Android that I miss. I miss the customization. I miss the way that you could, I think one thing I miss about Android phones were the widgets. I love the widgets.
Yeah.
I loved having,
on your home screen you can have the weather and all that kind of stuff.
And I loved that.
I did like that.
And that's my biggest complaint with iOS is a lack of widgets.
Yeah.
But if you just swipe all the way over, you've got all the widgets right there in the row. So it is what it is.
Right.
But there are things that I missed about Android, but I don't know that I'll ever go back. My iPad, my watch, my phone, my computer at home, my wife's MacBook. They're all connected.
Right.
So now if I change, now I've got to change everything that I do to
accommodate this new platform.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just for the new Galaxy phone. It looks great. If you're an Android person, I think you'll love the phone. Everyone's going to the all screen. Everyone's getting rid of haptic buttons. So embrace it early. Get it on the train.
One of the things that I saw in a review of is it the 10s Plus?
Just the 10 Plus.
10 Plus.
10 Plus.
The 10 Plus. One of the things I saw in a review of that I thought was really cool was they're one of the reasons why they're able to make a pinhole camera versus a notch like almost every other phone is doing at this point for the facial recognition unlock feature is that they have actually figured out a way, which is really neat. And we're going to come back to the Fold here in just a second because there's a couple more things I want to talk about. But it's really cool because they've actually figured out a way to embed a thumbprint sensor into the screen that not only images your thumbprint, but it'll actually detect the depth of your thumbprint ridges.
Which is incredible.
It's incredibly secure, which is cool because then, one of the concerns was, well, what if somebody has my fingerprint and they put it on there? It won't be detected as a fingerprint.
What if somebody cuts off my finger and impersonates me?
Right. Which is really gruesome to think about.
Well, you never know. Life happens.
Anyway, it's got this really cool animation. Whenever you put your thumb on it, it creates this ripple. It makes it almost look like the screen is liquid and it wobbles or whatever. It's pretty cool. Anyway, back to the Fold. So the Fold is out. It's not out. It's been shown to the public.
Yeah, it comes out next week. No, 2 weeks. 2 weeks away.
Which is staggering that a foldable LED screen is...
Yeah, the Thursday. It comes out on the... No, Tuesday. It comes on I think the 5th. Because phones are released on Tuesdays.
Yeah.
So it'll come out on the 5th of
of March. Yeah, which is just literally less than
It's 12 days away
less than
from
2
today.
weeks from today.
11 days from time of this podcast debuting.
Yes.
But yes.
But the interesting thing was a couple of really cool things. Did you watch the developers conference video?
Did you watch how awkward it was whenever nobody was clapping the entire time and the guy was
He
like,
just waited
the guy
for
was just like
somebody-
waiting for claps, and I would just, it reminds me of Jeb Bush,
Yes.
campaigning 2 years ago when it's like, please clap. Like it,
Right.
it had that same feel where it's like, I just feel like, I don't know, man. I think I think the phone's ugly, and I don't think anybody cares. The phone's $2,000.
That's the kicker. I'm watching this and I'm thinking, well, this would be a great experimental, experience shift from an iPhone or even
Right.
from another Android to go with this foldable screen. And then they said, and this phone, and he was talking it up about it being a premium device, and he wasn't kidding because
Yeah.
he dropped $1,980, and that's the starting price.
Right. That's probably for the 128 model.
Well, actually, I think they only do. I think it starts at 512.
Well, still.
Yeah,
It
but
better.
but
It
still.
better start at 512 gig if I'm paying $2,000. For $2,000, it better come with a laptop with it too. I just feel like, like I said, the iPhone XS Max was a premium device. That was the first phone that I recall topping $1,000.
Right. And it only did so by $50, I think. Right.
For the entry model. Mm-hmm. Yes, you can buy the 512 gig model and spend $1,300. But that is that phone is that screen's massive.
Mm-hmm.
And what you're going to tell me right now is that okay, so we're going to have this brand new phone, and it's really gimmicky.
Yeah,
and that's the thing, it's a gimmick. And how long will they? To me, it's like the Apple Pencil.
Yeah,
I had the Apple Pencil for I used it for approximately 1 hour. and
you gave up on it.
Right. I loved the idea of it.
Yeah.
I thought, this would be really cool. I can write whatever. Turns out my handwriting is garbage. That's not changed since third grade. My third grade report card. Yeah. My third grade report cards always commented on, he could use improvement in handwriting. Don't care. I have a computer for that. But the point is that it's a gimmick thing. I think that sales of the Apple Pencil, whether it's the first gen or the second gen,
right,
it's a gimmick thing.
Yeah.
So are people going to spend that kind of money on a gimmick? My answer is I'm willing to guess that this $2,000 phone will be probably one of the worst selling Samsung phones of all time.
I would imagine so,
and not just for the price. I think people just don't care.
Yeah, and it's evidenced by their reactions.
Right.
It was almost like they were prompted to applaud.
I think that if you're gonna have a foldable phone, number one, it shouldn't be 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yeah,
that's the biggest problem.
Joke.
I guess if you're gonna watch some 1998 music videos, you're
gonna watch Star Trek: The Next Generation in full HD.
But like I said, I think that if you're gonna do it, because to me, you're gonna have a very small screen for. For like movie watching, because if you're given a 4:3 aspect ratio, think about your first DVD player on your on your tube TV and having you actually picked up the widescreen model of the DVD from the video store, and how mad you got because now your screen is like half the size.
Yeah,
it'd be like that.
Yep.
And I think that it'll be an absolute flop. I think it'll be terrible. I don't like. At first, I was intrigued by it, and then just the more I watched it, I'm like, nope, this is not for me.
Now, there was one thing about that developers conference video that I was impressed by, and it had absolutely nothing to do with the phone. It had everything to do with that stage that he was on. Did you notice?
That was cool.
That it was like a 360-degree boxed-in screen, and it even went underneath his feet.
I was down with that.
It was awesome. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, forget this stupid foldable phone. Tell me more about this stage.
Oh, that stage. Yeah, right.
That was awesome.
I got that.
That was awesome. But that's the news in Samsung phones. So if you're looking to just waste $2,000, apparently, go pre-order yourself a Samsung Fold, because you'll hate yourself for it for the rest of your life. But anyway. So before we get into the rest of our podcast, this is a great time to do a throw out to our sponsor. We have a great sponsor, so take a listen to this message. Austin, did you know we have a website?
Huh?
I know. I feel like we talked about this before.
We have?
We have, at least every episode for the last several weeks.
Tell me more.
We have an episode. Wait, what am I saying?
Podcast.
Did I have a stroke? Oh, we have a website. It's AANDDSHOW.com, the ANDshow.com.
On the internet?
On the interwebs.
How do I get there?
You
From
go
iTunes?
Yes, exactly. Yep. And our website has been brought to us and to our listeners by the one and only Wix.com. Let me tell you a little bit about Wix.
Please do.
Wix is a great place. They sponsor our show, and they gave us the opportunity to partner with them and to build a website, and they set us up. And so what we did was we went on there and we created a website with their online web development tool. It took all of about 2 hours, start to finish, and that was with me developing a lot of the custom graphics myself. And we picked one of their thousands of professionally designed themes, applied it to our domain name that we got through them as well, and bada bing, bada boom, within just a couple hours, we had a great looking, fully functional website. And thank you to Wix for that. But the good news is, for our listeners, you can start a website today yourself.
Today?
For free.
Ooh,
I know.
Tell me more.
I know, right? All you got to do, go to Wix.com and just do it. Just build it. And
I'm excited about that. I'm intrigued by the 90s.
Yes.
No.
What?
That's the episode podcast.
That's our...
Oh, no.
Oh, no. So, anyway.
Go to Wix.com.
All you have to do, go to Wix.com, sign up, create an account. You can start building your website today. It can be public. And if you want to have a custom domain and no ads or anything on your website, all it costs is like $14 a month. It's a killer deal for a great website with everything you could possibly need. So thank you to Wix for sponsoring the A&D show. And you guys, you listeners, go check them out. Get yourself a website. Brand yourself. Put yourself out there.
Also, good advice for for young people going into relationships. Put yourself out there. Give it a shot.
Put yourself out there.
Listen, call her. Make a website dedicated to her. Yeah. Call it, listen, Susan, can you please go to promwithme.com and see if she likes it. She won't, but it's worth a shot.
Yeah.
But Wix can help you with that design because...
Yeah. And I guarantee you that domain name is available.
It's www.lisa, we go to promwithme.com. Check it out, kids.
Check it out at Wix.com. Now back to the podcast. And we're back. Thank you for that word from our sponsors. I guess from us about our sponsors. Anyway, you get the idea. Thank you to our sponsors.
Did you unmute us?
So, what did you just say?
I thought you hit M for mute. Did you unmute it? I didn't see you hit M again.
Did you just use a racial slur on our podcast?
Mute.
I'm going to have to come back and bleep that. I'm literally going to have to go in here right now and put a marker so I can go back and bleep you.
M is for marker.
Dang.
That's what M. What did I say? I didn't use racial slur. What did I say?
I'm going to have to go back and listen. I'm going to have to figure it out.
I wouldn't use a racial slur at all. I'm a very good Christian boy.
Sure. We'll go with that.
That's not true. That's not very nice at all. I have him listen to this podcast. Probably not.
Maybe we'll just take that little clip and we'll amplify it and we'll use that as the opener for for this episode.
Just on repeat.
Yeah.
So
this is the first episode we were going to have having something bleeped.
I know.
I can't believe you.
I didn't say anything inappropriate.
I can't. We're gonna find out after we finish this episode.
So the 90s, huh?
So the 90s. So okay. So we were talking about this earlier, just in jest, really, and we decided that talking about the 90s and the glory of the 90s.
I miss the 90s so much.
There's so much good that happened in the 90s.
Gosh, I miss it so much.
And so I thought it would be appropriate to bust out what do you think was what was your number one favorite movie of the 90s?
My number one favorite movie of the 90s, there were a lot.
There were so many.
For instance, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers featuring Ivan Ooze.
Oh, yeah. The river of pink slime underneath in the city sewers.
It's funny when these movies are great when you're a kid and you rewatch them.
And they're trash.
Oh, they're so bad.
Yeah.
Like, Batman and Robin was great.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't.
It wasn't.
Batnips.
It's
terrible.
And they played a couple little jokes, trying to be like the comic books,
right?
And to also as a throwback to the Adam West run as Batman. And this one scene when Chris O'Donnell hops off of the Bat boat or whatever onto this island. I guess they're going after Mr. Freeze, and it's like his hideout island or whatever. And he hops out onto the island, and he realizes that the island is actually not an island at all. It's just a gigantic hunk of rusted metal. And so he literally looks at George Clooney, Batman, and he says, "Holy rusted metal, Batman." And then he points, and it's literally a bunch of rusty metal with holes in it.
It was dumb. It was dumb.
Cringe.
Terrible movie.
Not only cringe-worthy, but just literally cringy in every aspect.
I don't know. But like, there were so many movies that you came out and you looked at them and you really you liked them. Okay.
Yeah.
One movie that I was probably my first foray into nerddom.
Okay.
That I loved, and to this day, if I watch it still today, it's amazing and hysterical and great.
Okay, go on.
Mars Attacks.
Is that the one with Pierce Brosnan where he gets his head cut off?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that one. That
Jack
was a good
Nicholson, Glenn Close, Natalie Portman. That was the first time that I had a crush on Natalie Portman. Danny DeVito.
Well, she would have been about 14 in that movie, right?
So was I.
I mean,
I'd have been 11.
True. I crushed on her in Phantom of the what was it?
Annie.
Yeah, that's what I was crushing on.
Annie, no Annie. No Annie. Mars Attacks was...
I hate that movie so much.
So bad.
Mars Attacks. Go back to Mars Attacks.
Misa, your friend. It's a me. Misa, your friend.
Shut up, Jar Jar. Nobody likes you.
I remember watching Mars Attacks and thinking that this is a really good movie. Like, the first time I watched it, I'm like, this is kind of dumb.
Uh-huh.
And when you rent a movie, you got it for like 2 days at the time. Back in the 90s, when you rented the movie, it was for 2 days. So
I don't know what movie store you were going. We got it for a week for $1.
Yeah, if it's been there for a while, this is a new release.
This was Twister came out in 95. Also a great movie.
Great movie.
And
Mars Attacks was great. I remember watching it the second time, and I loved it.
The second time
when they. I think what I liked, what I've always found funny was whenever the aliens got the dog, and they put the lady's head. Yeah. They put I think was it Glenn Close's head Glenn Close's head on the dog, and it's hysterical. Like it's absolutely amazing. The movie is just funny.
Yeah, it was such a. I remember watching it, and I remember it didn't make any sense at all. It just felt like. It felt like it was a spoof
Sarah
on itself.
Jessica Parker's head on the dog.
You're right.
Would have been better on a horse. She has a horse's face.
Hey, dear God.
It's a long... Horse walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Hey, why the long face?" Horse says, "I'm a horse."
The horse says, "My name is Sarah Jessica Parker." You want to give me my own HBO show?
It was such a good movie. The movie was hysterical.
It's so stupid that it was good.
It was stupid, and it was amazing. I mean,
like the entire Naked Gun series.
Jack Nicholson was the president. It was amazing.
I can't with him. I would say
it's amazing. That's how they all talked, and it was great.
There's so many good moments already in this episode for our cold open.
There were so many good movies in the 90s.
Yeah,
so many.
Well, let me tell you, that's your favorite. Let me tell you my number one favorite.
Now I have a list of like 10 or 20, dude. All right.
I mean, I understand, but let me give you my number one favorite, and I think you know what I'm going to say. Anybody who's been listening to this podcast from episode 1 is going to know, based on how many times I've talked about this particular franchise, Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was released to the world in 1993, and it's the best movie that came out of the 90s.
I've told you about the people I knew that they walked down the aisle to the Jurassic Park theme song, right? Yeah, we're at a wedding.
You may now bite the head off the bride.
I was an usher in the wedding, and I'm walking her mom up the aisle, and I'm sitting there, and I hear this song. What is that song?
Wait, you were at the wedding?
I'm at the wedding. I was an usher in the wedding.
Oh, this wasn't like a wedding you saw on the YouTube?
No. This is a real thing. So I'm in this wedding, and I'm like, I hear the song, and I'm like, this song sounds really familiar. Well, then you hit that Jurassic Park theme that everyone knows, that do 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 do, and I'm like, holy crap, they're playing Jurassic Park.
That's a bold move.
Oh, it's weird.
Either they're big fans or they didn't know what they were what kind of music they were
I
picking out.
don't know, but it's amazing, and I find it to be hysterical. I still laugh at it this day. When I think about it, I still get very, very tickled about the fact that somebody used Jurassic Park theme as their wedding song. I couldn't use the Imperial March at my wedding. It's some baloney.
I guess it's better than like Highway to Hell by AC/DC or something.
I mean,
I guess it depends on the kind of person you're marrying.
I've seen
too.
some marriages. Maybe you are.
So I think, I think my personal preference, I mean, of course, you got to keep in mind almost every movie that I grew up on was made in the 90s. I mean, there's a good chunk of them made in the 80s and earlier even, but you're talking about this I think two of the sequels to the Die Hard franchise, which I'm a huge fan of, came in the 90s. You're talking two of the now 5 and soon to be 6 Jurassic Park movies came out in the 90s. You're talking about at least, I think only one of the Boondock Saints movies came in the 90s. Was it 99?
99, yeah.
But you're also talking about, huge cult classics like The Matrix that came out in 99.
1999 was probably the best year for movies because you had the comedy gem, which I will openly say that this movie may be the funniest movie ever made.
Which one?
It's hysterical. It's Office Space. Office Space may be the funniest movie ever made. And it's not slapstick and it's not, but it's just the entire thing is so flippin' hysterical from start to finish.
It's been so long since I've seen that. I'm going to have to rewatch it.
The opening scene in traffic is hysterical. Every interaction of if you work in an office, every interaction in the office you have once a week minimum.
Yeah.
Every single interaction.
Which is what, bearing in mind the show, The Office, that came just a few years later, about a decade after that, you're talking about a show that was massively successful because of the cult following that it developed because of how similar it was to real life in The Office, which is true. One other thing that you're talking about comedy, so many of the best comedic movies that have ever been made came out in the 90s. Not to mention, we've talked about a few of them on our Christmas special series back in December, talking about, your Santa Claus series that started then. I think even, was The Grinch in late 90s or was that early 2000s?
I don't know if that was late. I think it was early 2000s. I'm not really for sure.
I think you're right there. But you're also talking about one of my favorites, the Liar Liar, Jim Carrey.
Liar Liar is so
almost
good.
The peak of his entire career happened in the 90s.
Was Liar Liar in the 90s?
Oh yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
I always thought that Liar Liar was in the 2000s.
No. I think it was 98 maybe.
Really?
Yeah.
That surprises me. 97.
97.
That surprises me. I thought that was. I thought that movie was older. I'm looking at 90 movies here, and there are so many. Okay, that are just great. Half Baked.
Yeah.
Half Baked was hysterical. Independence Day.
Ooh, come on.
Ace Ventura.
Hold on. Pause for a second. Independence Day
was phenomenal.
One of the best holiday movies ever made.
So good.
The sequel, not great.
Not great.
Good.
So good.
But not great.
Armageddon.
Yeah.
Wayne's World.
Oh, okay. Hold on right there for a second. That is the quintessential movie from my childhood.
Wayne's World?
Yeah, that was
so
like
good.
the first movie that my brother and I got to watch that was like risque.
Right.
And it was because of the innuendo. Like we watched it, we had no idea what they were saying. We just thought they were goofy and funny.
It's hysterical.
And kind of like Forrest Gump, right? You watch it as a kid, which also came out in the 90s, right? Forrest Gump?
Yes.
You watch it as a kid and you're like, this is awesome. And then you go back and watch it as an adult and you're just like, what?
Ancient Chinese secret.
Right.
It's hysterical.
Right.
You had Saving Private Ryan, Reservoir Dogs, Dumb and Dumber, Truman Show, Space Jam, Heat, Usual Suspects, Dazed and Confused, Blair Witch Project, Shawshank, Terminator 2. Terminator 2 is phenomenal. Terminator 2 is groundbreaking.
It's the best Terminator of them all.
So good. Schindler's List.
There have been a lot, and there were all
Mrs. Doubtfire. Fight Club.
Do you realize Pulp Fiction was also in that running?
Yeah.
Pulp Fiction is one of the biggest cult followings of all movies in the 90s.
Silence of the Lambs. Scream.
Not to mention huge blockbuster successes like Titanic.
7, what came out in the 90s.
Toy Story came out in the 90s.
Groundhog Day. Groundhog Day is amazing. I mean, there's so many good movies. Seven's the movie that holds up. Seven, to me, I can watch Seven still today, and still get creeped out by Seven.
I don't think I've even seen that one.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah. I've heard about it, but I just wasn't really...
Oh, David.
It's not my style.
David.
You realize, though, also, The Sixth Sense, one of the creepiest and best twists at the end of a movie ever written, fell
Spoiler
in the
alert.
90s.
Bruce Willis is already dead.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it by now, get your act together. You got the Home Alone, both the Home Alone original movies
Lion
with Macaulay
King.
Culkin.
Like I said, they're I mean, we could sit here and just name off 90 movies that are great for the rest of the podcast.
Yep.
I mean, there are so many.
Saving Private Ryan.
Saving Private Ryan was great.
Yeah. Iconic. Braveheart, also in the 90s. You're looking at a decade from 1990 to 1999 that was just chocked full
Like a
of
million-
some of the greatest movies ever made.
There was like a million like Nick Cage movies that were great.
yeah. Con
Like The
Air.
Rock. Oh, The Rock was so good.
The Rock was great.
The Rock was amazing.
Is that the one that had Sean Connery in
Yeah.
it? Sean Connery.
Happy Gilmore was in the 90s too.
Oh, yeah.
Never
back
Been Kissed.
When,
Back when Drew Barrymore was attractive.
yeah, back when Adam Sandler, before
Tommy
Adam Sandler
Boy.
went crazy.
Which we used Tommy Boy for our last
yeah, we did.
profile
If
picture.
you haven't seen it, check it out on our Instagram. It is hysterical. Austin makes a fantastic fat man.
You know, I really do. I'm really working on that as someone that is married and getting into his mid-30s. It's getting worse. It's getting much worse.
Your fatness.
Yes.
Well, just don't let it get to that level. You'll be all right.
I don't care anymore. I'm at the point now where my wife can't leave me anymore. So she's kind of stuck with me. It's not she's not going anywhere. She can't
Right.
get better than this. Come on now.
Oh, gosh. I'm so glad she doesn't listen to this show.
Yeah, me too. Austin Powers came out.
Austin
that ruined
Powers.
my childhood. That ruined my childhood. Anytime that somebody saw me, my name is for those of you who know, my name is Austin.
Oh, gosh. I think we know that by now. If they don't know
it
that, then why are they
was the
listening to
worst
this?
part of my life was Mike Myers being Austin Powers because it's like, hey, Austin, yeah, baby. I'm like, oh, God, I hope you get hit by a bus.
Such an iconic
It was
movie.
so
though.
bad. It was so. It was just so. American History X also came out in the 90s. Do you remember that
That
movie?
had Edward Norton and Denzel in it, right?
No, Denzel.
Well, no, not Denzel.
Not Denzel. It had Edward Furlong,
Yes.
the kid from Terminator 2.
Yes.
American History X was one of those movies that was incredibly hard to watch.
Yeah. All the curb stomping and all that junk. Ugh.
But it was incredibly
Cringe.
it was an incredible story of somebody learning from their mistakes and understanding, and really, I mean, it's you know, you can look at it today and say,
I'm thinking of Malcolm X.
yeah, you're thinking about
That had
different,
Denzel.
probably polar opposite movies.
Yeah.
You know, American History X was a great movie.
You know, one of the things I think is interesting, we're in an interesting season right now, right? Because we are talking about the 90s and how influential the 90s have been on cinema, when we're also sitting amidst one of the greatest decades of cinema still.
Well, now
when it comes to long, well, let me rephrase. One of the greatest decades in film when it comes to long running series. And
right, I'll agree with that. I think that a lot of the movies that have been tried to do, movies that have been attempted that are, startup movies, like brand new franchise attempts, most of them have all fallen flat.
Right. I mean, you got your Dark Universe stuff from Universal with the Mummy that just, I mean,
was that good?
nothing.
I never saw that. Was that good?
Oh, I liked it. I've got it. You want to watch it?
I've got it's on your Amazon.
Let's pause. Let's pause right now and watch it.
I've got your Amazon account already. I'll just watch it later. Because see, I'm a Tom Cruise fan through and through. That short man, he is crazy. He's a crazy short man.
Oh man, he's a psychopath, but he's
he
a great
can
actor.
act.
Yeah, he can. He does some great movies.
I don't know that I've seen a bad movie with him. Vanilla Sky wasn't good.
It wasn't bad though.
No, it wasn't bad. I just didn't like it.
It just wasn't a great movie, but he did a great job acting in it.
Oh, Face Off came out in the 90s too. Remember Face Off?
Man, I watched that the other day.
That was back when Travolta and Nick Cage were just like, like the who's who. And they were like both A-list actors. What went wrong, boys?
Yeah, they all fell off the radar
Is Travolta even acting still?
Oh, yeah. He's in every... what's interesting is you look back at the 90s, you got like your Zorro and Wild Wild West. You got all these actors that were big-time actors, Antonio Banderas and John Travolta and Nick Cage, and they were huge back then, right? Well, they've all pretty much taken the exact same turn career-wise. They ended up, because they're no longer physically fit and they're no longer looked at as like the sexy icon or of manliness or whatever that they were back in their heyday. So now they're just taking all these roles, whatever they can get their hands on. And Antonio Banderas has released like 5 movies that are all the same in the last like five or 6 months.
Antonio.
He's basically this old security guard who lost his family or has nothing to live for, and somebody does something against somebody that's innocent, and he takes vengeance on them.
Really?
Pretty much.
I'm kind of shocked.
Like all parodies of the story of the Equalizer.
Like I'm trying to figure out
Which was great.
Like all the movies that have come out, and like I'm looking at a list of the 120 most essential 90s movies, okay?
Yep.
And I mentioned it earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Fargo.
Yes. They made a whole series based on it.
Right. So Fargo came out in 96. And I remember watching that. I would have been 11 or 12 years old. Definitely too young to watch Fargo. It was a different time back for me. My parents didn't care what I watched. Especially my dad. He's just like, whatever. It's on TV. I don't care. I remember watching Fargo and that wood chipper scene.
Yeah.
And I'm a kid, and that just like
scarred
me. Mm-hmm. Not as bad though as a little movie called Last Action Hero,
also 90s,
starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
I had nightmares, recurring nightmares about the Morton's fisherman dude, the guy wearing that yellow rain slicker in that movie that was on the roof that was like throwing the axe.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, okay.
I just watched that movie the other day. I don't remember that.
There was that was the bad guy on Last Action Hero. He was wearing like a rain slicker. I'm almost certain of it. I swear, if I'm just having nightmares about the Morton fisherman, that's really going to ruin my day.
And he's not even in the movie. Like you're just making it up.
I mean, no. I mean, it's not literally the Morton's fisherman. It's not really the same guy, but he looks like the Morton's fisherman. So every time I see the Morton's fisherman, I always get worried because
that somebody's going to throw an axe at you.
I always remember, I remember this guy. It was the guy on the roof that had like his all face was all janky. That guy.
Oh.
He had like a rain suit on the roof. Okay, and
I remember now. Yeah.
And when I was a kid, like that was, I mean that was like a family film. That was supposed to be like a fun little like look at this kid. This kid's living his dream. He's with the action hero.
Yeah.
And then there's this like axe throwing dude. I had nightmares about that dude for years. Like just like reoccurring, like I would just like go to sleep and like, oh, here's the dude in the rain suit.
That's such an interesting movie to have nightmares based on too.
You know what? I sleptwalked. Leave me alone.
I mean, my dad had nightmares about Jaws, like visceral nightmares about Jaws. He told me one time.
Then Dad, don't get a waterbed, okay? Get have a waterbed.
He told me one time that he might be listening to this. Dad, if you're listening to this, I'm about to tell you the world, your deepest, darkest secrets. So I'm sorry, not sorry. But anyway, he told me one time that he watched Jaws. I think he was like 13 when it first came out back in the 70s or something like that. And he was watching Jaws and went to bed and had like this crazy like waking nightmare where he woke up and he was laying in his bed floating in the middle of the ocean. Like
the bed was floating?
Yeah, like he was on his bed floating in the middle of the ocean. And he just he had to wake up. He woke up because he had to go to the bathroom. So he just swung his feet over to the outside of the bed and put him down. And as soon as his feet touched the water, it all disappeared and he was in his room again. My dad apparently was on LSD. I don't know. And so he gets up and he walks through the door to his bathroom or to the hallway where his bathroom was. And he said that he saw a giant shark mouth, agape, jump out at him IRL, as the kids say these days, in real life. Like a giant shark bite around him, and he just kept on walking, and he was like, whatevs. Not today, Satan.
When I was a kid, I would have been probably in the 90s. I sleptwalked real bad. We were on a church trip.
Really real stories with Austin and Dave.
I was on a church trip, and I don't know if anybody that was in my hotel room listens to this podcast. Probably not. And we were in Texas. We were at
Yoldi Tejas.
We were at a hotel. We were on our church choir trip, and I remember my friend Brittany. It was her dad's hotel, and so we stayed there. And I remember
the Red Roof Inn.
No, it was a nice hotel, and so I sleptwalk really bad as a kid. I sleepwalk occasionally still, but I don't think I've sleptwalked in the last few years. Thankfully for Haley's sake. But I remember I walked over to the corner of the room, and I went. Well, I had to go to the bathroom, so I walked to the bathroom, and I was going pee. Turns out the bathroom was apparently the corner of the room. As I was standing against the wall with my hand against the wall, like I'm at a urinal, just peeing all over the wall. So my friend goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I go, "Huh? Well, tell me you're peeing on the wall." And so I'm in this hotel. And he goes, "Clean it up." So I sleepwalk over to the bathroom, and I get a towel and lay it on top of it and go back to bed. I had to leave it there for housekeeping. I don't know why that happened and why I thought about that. I was just thinking about your dad just, sleeping and then going to the bathroom. I felt like that happened in the 90s, so I just shared that story about me sleepwalking and peeing in a hotel.
If you're listening to this podcast, take heart in knowing that no matter how bad your situation was as a kid, Austin's story is way more embarrassing.
Really bad.
So I was thinking, Austin, we're talking about the 90s, we're talking about all the great movies from the 90s, but we're also in this era where one of the biggest, most successful film franchises of all time is still going on, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Huge.
It'll go on forever.
And has got some serious momentum. Doesn't look like it's going to stop anytime soon.
Well, why should it? If people are going to drop $1 billion for every movie, I wouldn't go make movies either.
Right.
Until it becomes trash like Batman and Robin, I'd keep plopping those bad boys out.
Yeah. So, and of course, with the Disney Fox merger coming up, they're setting themselves up really well for at least another decade or more of movies. And one of the things that's interesting is I saw an article on the interweb the other day talking about what 90s hot, stylish, whatever actors would have played the roles of the Avengers had the movie been made in the 90s. Right. And I thought we'd talk about that for a second because that's a really interesting thought because they had people like Tom Cruise slated to play Tony Stark, Iron Man.
So the article you're talking about came from Geek Tyrant.
Yes.
So they basically had everyone lined up. So they had Tony Stark was played by Tom Cruise, Eddie Murphy was Falcon, Brad Pitt as Thor, David Duchovny as the Hulk,
which is fantastic.
Denzel Washington as Black Panther.
Oh yeah.
Ben Stiller as Ant-Man, which fits. Alicia Silverstone, hello. Scarlet Witch. Michael J. Fox as Spider-Man. Brendan Fraser as Star-Lord. Keanu Reeves as Doctor Strange. Sharon Stone as Black Widow. Leonardo DiCaprio as Captain America. Johnny Depp as Hawkeye. Dolph Lundgren as Vision. Cuba Gooding Jr. as War Machine. And Sandra Bullock as the Wasp. It makes you think, would you have made any changes to that? Now, I would. And here's why.
I do have a few myself as well.
I've got a bunch. Number one, Brendan Fraser, you're out. Sorry.
Who did they have him playing?
They had him playing Star-Lord. He didn't have. I don't think he has enough charisma and chops.
But did you not think that his role in The Mummy would have warranted him?
No, I didn't like him in The Mummy. I also didn't like him in Monkey Bone. It was terrible.
Okay, Monkey Bone was horrible. It's a bad movie.
Now I'll tell you what was a good movie with him was Bedazzled. Bedazzled. But that's only because I had that one lady in it. What's her name?
Nicole Kidman?
No. No. She's like British or something. Here's my other junior high / high school crush. Elizabeth Hurley. She was in Austin Powers. Elizabeth Hurley was in that movie. She was, if Haley and I wouldn't have worked out, it probably would have been Elizabeth Hurley. Also, I would have had to have been a little bit, whatever. I think that you can make it work.
I mean, casting Tom Cruise as Tony Stark, clearly the right choice. I probably would have put what's his name? I probably would have thrown Vin Diesel in there somewhere in his youth.
I guess, because Fast and Furious, because Fast and Furious didn't come out until the 2000s.
But I think Pitch Black was in the 90s, which was fantastic.
Pitch Black wasn't. No, Pitch Black was after Fast and Furious.
Are you sure?
I am positive. Trust me. Fast and Furious was Vin Diesel's first big movie. I'm telling you right now. I know that for a fact.
Okay, well, maybe not Vin Diesel. I would have put Bruce Willis in there for sure.
I'll agree with that.
I might have put. You know what? I would have put Bruce Willis as Thanos.
No, I would have put Bruce Willis as. I think Bruce Willis would have been a great Star-Lord.
He's a little too meh. He doesn't have the charisma.
Rude.
Owen Wilson might have made a good Star-Lord if he'd beefed up a little bit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
I think the problem would have been was that stars in the '90s weren't like. I mean, like the regimen that some of these actors have taken now for some of these roles is insane.
Oh yeah, they're getting all jacked. And
Like
stuff.
I think about like Ryan Reynolds. Okay, for instance, the first time that he played what movie was he in? Origins. He was in Origins, playing as Deadpool.
Yeah, the crappy Deadpool.
We don't.
We don't talk about that one.
You know, I think about I've seen pictures of I'm drawing blanks on all that on all the MCU characters of Chris Evans,
Captain America.
Yeah, like these guys are cut. I mean, like insane. I don't think that like I think about George Clooney as Batman back in the day.
Yeah,
kind of lumpy.
Wasn't even lumpy. He was literally just
like Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton
is probably other than Christian Bale the best Batman.
Oh yeah,
Christian Bale was great.
Now I will say, Val Kilmer didn't do a horrible job.
No, Clooney was terrible.
He picked up fairly well from Keaton, but Clooney was just
hot trash. Hot take. I think that I would put Batfleck ahead of Val Kilmer. I think I'd put Batfleck as the third Batman.
The third best?
I think so.
Batfleck is fantastic. I think he did a great job.
He's no longer a thing.
No, but I think he did a great job. And here's the thing that I thought was awesome. Ben Affleck is not known for being a particularly physical actor in his movies. But the workout regimen that dude did to get shredded for that movie was nuts.
I'll agree with that.
And I will say, he played the Frank Miller Batman, which was the real dark, gritty Batman, which I thought, other than the changes that they made to the Justice League to try to make it a little bit more lighthearted and goofy, other than those edits and changes, his dark, brooding, beat the snot out of you kind of Batman, I thought he did excellent.
Man, can you imagine Denzel as Black Panther? That would have been phenomenal. That'd have been great casting.
Yeah.
I think Ben Stiller would have been fine as would have been fine as Ant-Man. Duchovny, I guess, would have been okay. I'm not a fan of Duchovny. You are. I'm not a fan of Duchovny. I am not. I don't like him in X-Files. I honestly,
I think Duchovny would probably have made a better Ant-Man.
I think Brad Pitt would have been a great Thor.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's a whole lot of changes other than Brendan Fraser that I would have made. But Brendan Fraser was big then, so I get the casting. I understand that.
Yeah. I would put I'd put Nicole Kidman in somewhere too.
I think I would have put Edward Norton somewhere in there as well.
Edward Norton was already the Hulk. You could have just kept him as the Hulk.
Well, right. But I'm talking in this specific scenario here.
Yeah.
We've already discussed. Eddie Murphy would have been fine. I think it's a Falcon, I guess. Eddie Murphy was bigger than I think back then. Eddie Murphy would have had a bigger role than just the Falcon.
Probably. He might have. I was actually thinking about it, and I think he might have been a better.
He would have been a good Star-Lord, I think.
He might have been a better
because he had the
Black Panther, because he's got the whole. He can do the whole African accent thing. He did that one.
Coming to America.
Coming to America.
Such a good movie. They're
Great
making
movie.
a new one. I'm so excited about it. They're making a sequel.
Oh, really?
I can't wait.
Is he going to be in it?
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't acted
So
in a
is
long
Arsenio,
time.
I think.
He hasn't acted in a long time.
So good.
But that's a really cool. That's a really cool thought experiment, and I'm sure we can explore this again, and we can do another episode on this later.
What were the trends of the '90s that you miss?
Trends fashion?
Yeah. What did I miss?
Jorts.
I was never allowed to have them.
Just jorts.
Jinko jeans.
Oh yeah.
I wanted a pair of Jinkos so bad.
Those 4 foot deep pockets.
Yes, and
the ornate embroidery all over.
And the legs are so wide they cover up your entire foot.
Oh yeah, I never had a pair either, but I wanted some.
I wanted a pair so bad. They were expensive. We were poor. We couldn't afford Jinko jeans.
There was a brand of jeans.
I would take my jeans and cut down the leg of them to make them go over my shoes.
Yeah, me too.
Back whenever I had the sweet 3-stripe Adidas's that do they make those still? I think those are back in style now.
No, they still make them. I saw them the other day at the shoe store.
Oh, the 3 stripes they were classic. Every rock kid wannabe wore those shoes.
Let me ask you this: if you were given the opportunity to go into a like a clothing store that had shoes and clothes and that kind of paraphernalia and stuff. That was everything, down to every single detail, period accurate to the peak of the 90s. But you had to pay $50 to get in, and then everything was astronomically expensive, but you had an unlimited budget. Would you do it?
I have an unlimited budget. Sure, of course I would.
Would you do it even if you couldn't afford to buy anything, but you could just go in and see it?
Absolutely not.
You wouldn't pay $50 to step back in time?
I'd go on Google and find pictures.
Find pictures.
Listen, the 90s weren't good to me. Okay, I was a nerdy kid. I've got pictures that show that I used too much hair gel.
I got pictures to show that I cut my hair too short.
I had
Hashtag buzz cut.
acne and
Plus, my favorite thing about the 90s that is no longer a thing, but also the thing that made me so mistreated in the 90s was jorts.
Oh, jorts.
Nothing better than a nice pair of baggy old jorts. Am I right?
My dad wears jorts, and I try to break him. My dad, why don't you wear like your cargo shorts, your khakis?
Think back to the. I had a pair of jorts back in my 90s.
I'm not surprised
life
you had jorts
that weren't just jorts. They were like work pant jorts with the whole loop for the hammer.
Yeah, 'cause I can picture you working on a job site.
Yeah, you're right. With
Give
my
me a hard hat and everything.
my mid shin white socks and my white too tight strapped on shoes and everything.
Do you remember whenever like the no show socks became a thing?
Yeah, I do, but I do remember that they were expensive and they were rare.
My mom said they were gay socks. I couldn't wear them.
Yeah,
I was not wear those socks.
So
like, Ma,
what we had to do, and you
it's
might
the same mom that whenever I wore red skinny jeans, she called me a gay. I love her to death.
Do you remember taking your socks and folding them down on your foot to give yourself a no-show sock?
Because I couldn't afford no-show socks because we were poor. I make that joke a lot. I was joking the other day with somebody. It was
probably me.
Somebody posted a thing online selling Tupperware, but it was like 3 Country Crock buckets with lids.
Yep.
It's like you didn't grow up.
It said gently used on that.
Like you didn't grow up in my family if you didn't use Country Crock and Cool Whip containers as Tupperware.
Right.
That was how you got by. No mind Gladware back then. Come on.
I mean, and you didn't just happen upon it, right? It was either A, given to you, or B, you earned that bucket.
That was back in the day.
By eating
we had bread and butter
yourself.
But
every meal.
Every meal you had bread and butter with every meal. Every meal you had, there was a bread and here was a tube of Country Crock.
I think I might go have some bread and butter right now.
Country Crock. The Country Crock, I don't care if it is just vegetable oil. It's delicious.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's
great.
And so it spreads so smooth.
You can't make butter spread like that.
No.
Butter, unless it's room temperature, butter ain't going to spread like that.
Yeah, I use butter here.
Like I'll make Haley toast. Like, hey, we put some butter on that. I'm like, how? How I put butter on this?
Just take the stick. Here's what I do. I just
shove it on there.
I just unwrap one into the stick of butter and I just let it sit on the bread until it melts.
It's dumb. Dumb.
It's just stupid.
I have a problem. I have a problem with anything that's not a Country Crock spread. Give me some margarine, y'all.
Yeah, I can't believe it's not butter. Then I don't want it in my house.
Yeah, I want to be able to spread it.
I want it
because
spreadable.
even like spreadable butter, it's like it's so spreadable. It's like no, it's not. Like spreadable cream cheese, like you liars.
Yeah, whipped. You know they came out with a whipped peanut butter that was literally peanut butter. It was like 80% less peanut butter because it was
whipped,
aerated,
airy. Yeah,
but it was supposed to be more easily spreadable, and it cost twice as much for like 80% less.
People's dumb.
Yeah, I've always wondered what it tasted like. Do you remember back in another thing from the 90s was the multicolored ketchup? Do you remember that? Where they had like purple and blue and
purple
green.
Ketchup so bad. I wanted green ketchup so bad, and I want all the
too.
colors. My dad said that I couldn't have it.
Yeah, because it was expensive and
it was like $1 more. It's like it's just ketchup.
Well,
y'all.
it was Heinz brand. That was the problem. You're paying for that name. Thanks, Arnold. Your stupid Heinz connections to your family and weirdness.
It's true. The 90s, man.
The 90s, bro.
Beautiful. I miss it.
It was the decade of dreams.
Miss it so much.
I guess we know now. If we had a time machine right now, we'd just go right back to the 90s.
I don't know. Maybe
take a look, just a gander, and then come back. Because
I would have fixed all my weird traits. God, being so weird, you freak. Stop putting cryptic song lyrics and crap on MySpace and Facebook.
Stop putting stickers.
Wait, was MySpace back? No. MySpace was 2001, 2003.
Yeah. Stop putting stickers for things that nobody cares about on your stupid little igloo lunchbox that nobody thinks is cool.
Would you?
And smells like ham and cheese all the time.
90s Austin, I got some advice for you. when you wreck your bike by the water department because you're ramping over a speed bump and you fall on the ground and you cut your arm, don't cry like a baby. You're a man. Stop being a sissy. Shake it off. Rub some dirt on it. Figure it out. You'll be fine. You're not going to die from a cut on your arm. Mm-hmm. You cried like a baby, and I'm embarrassed for you. I cried a lot as a kid. I was a very sensitive little boy.
Same. That explains why we have a podcast.
I know.
I got some advice for 90s me. 90s me, whenever you're sitting in that seat in the school bus and you're on your way home, but you're not quite there because you had to go past your bus stop to get to another bus stop, to turn around to come back to your bus stop because that makes sense. And you're sitting there and the kid behind you is being a total jerkwad and he leans over the seat and hawks a loogie on your shoulder. Don't be crying about that junk. Just stand up and give him a knuckle sandwich to the face like he deserves.
Oh, and also 90s Austin, when your sister wrecks her car. No, never mind. That's 2000s Austin. Crud.
Go ahead and tell him.
Well, all right. When your sister wrecks her car in 2002, it's an '87 Monte Carlo, beautiful car, and she wrecks her car, and you're in the back seat, and the girl in the front seat, her head hits the windshield, and she's okay. She's fine. She's bleeding a little. She's fine, and her hair is stuck in the windshield, and she's crying, saying, "Oh no, my hair, my glory." Keep on laughing because it's really funny still.
I got one for 2000s me too. We'll just do some really real confessions here for a second. 2000s me, whenever you and your brother are driving around in that sweet ride of a 1984 Toyota Corolla after having watched that Fast and the Furious and trying to do all that drifting.
Don't do it.
And then y'all accidentally hop over that telephone pole that you're using as a guide for the edge of your driveway and you crush the underneath of that car. You know what? If you're there already, you should just kick yourself.
Yeah.
Because that's stupid. Or you could go back a little bit and stop yourself from making that dumb mistake because that was ridiculous.
Ruin a car, huh?
Also, that 1992 Ford Tempo that you're thinking is a real awesome, not so awesome. Get over it.
Stop changing your tape in front of the fire department and rear-ending a car, Austin. That's a bad idea.
Yeah. Wow. This got real at the end.
Very personal.
Really real.
Very personal.
Really real confessions with Dave and Austin.
Beautiful.
It's the A&D show.
Confession.
Well, stick around because, ladies and gentlemen, we are nearing the precipice of the season finale. It's literally just around the corner. Our next episode in just a couple of weeks is the final episode of season 2.
We have
made
away
it
for season 2 finale.
We have
done. The cliffhanger we're going to leave you with will be phenomenal.
Yeah.
There's a great cliffhanger coming.
Yeah, we do.
There's a really good cliffhanger
We really got to
coming.
start writing that.
It's a good cliffhanger.
It's going to be huge.
You're going to be wondering what's going to happen in the future.
I'm wondering.
It's a good one.
It's going to be great.
It's a good
It's going to
cliffhanger.
be fantastic. So stick around. Get ready for that. It's going to be good. But in the meantime, stay classy, San Diego. Do we have any listeners in San Diego?
Anchorman was from the 2000s.
Dang it.
Whoopsie.
What does it the Boondock Saints say? The cool thing.
Oh,
that
yes.
they say.
They go. The shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord, for thee. All power has descended forth from thy hand. Something.
Eating a
Bird
bowl of
Zacharias.
ham.
Nah, that's not right.
No. Close enough.